What do I hear? Is that the door?
So it's not live. Okay. So please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Trustee Cheney,
Here?
Trustee Foster,
Here.
Mayor Newhart,
Here.
Trustee Calora,
Here.
Trustee McKnight.
Here.
Thank you, Jen. May I have a motion to accept the minutes of May 6, 2024?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And a motion for authorization to pay all approved and audited claims in the amount of $55,598.44.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So tonight we have a presentation from Barton and LaJudas. And Barry, I'm going to let you do the introduction on it, if you don't
Okay.
mind.
Yes. We have this presentation ahead of our first motion on the agenda, which has to do with an engineering services contract amendment for our lead service line inventory project, which is mandated to be done by about the middle of October this year. And we initially had Barton and LaJudas begin on it with a $50,000 authorization. We got $570-some thousand from the federal government under the bipartisan infrastructure law, and that is what's going to make up the rest of it. And tonight with us we have Jay Deno from Barton and LaJudas, and I've asked Jay to kind of give us an overview of the project as described in the scope of services in the proposal, and also in particular there is a document that's going to go out to our residents or our customers, water customers, and that document will give them directions as to how they can support giving us information we need. We're looking to find as many non-lead service line issues or circumstances that allow us to then basically say, okay, those particular properties, services, that's not a concern and we don't need to go any further with it. So, but Jay will, I think, give us some good insight as to how the process will work, and then also in particular that first document that's going to go out to our customers. So, Jay, go ahead.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you, board, for this evening with you. I appreciate it, and the follow-up. And I'm excited to work with you and the village on this. It's an exciting time for the environmental health and public safety. Since the revision of the copper rule, federal lead copper rule in December of 2021, that mandates all communities that have communal water source do a lead service line or a service line assessment. To give everyone a little bit of background about me, again, Jason Deno. I joined BNL about 2 years ago. I was with the state of New York with DEC, the Department of Environmental Conservation, in the Environmental Facilities Corporation for over 25 years. So this is an exciting project for me since joining BNL and working with Barry and the team, going through the process. And we're all learning. I think all the firms are learning in municipalities on the steps necessary. The inventory is due on October 16th. And we've made considerable progress under that first contract with BNL. And we'll continue to support you in any way we can to get through the finish line by October 16th. And I see this as it's a living document. This document will continue to grow as we learn more information about our service lines. And I think the Department of Health recognizes that. as we go through the process and learn more about our infrastructure, I think this is only the beginning of the regulatory process. So when they say mandate and look at all the different service lines, we all understand that from a community perspective, but it's enormous. It's an enormous task, and I understand that task and the regulatory completion requirements of it. But I see it as we're developing and then implementing the best we can as of October 16th, recognizing, the public health and water quality impacts, notifying our residents of our findings, our mapping, our eligibility. And I want to kind of walk you through what we've done to date. And some of those items I'll show you come from the tax parcel IDs and information that we've extracted from the county data for user information. And that included any of the tax parcels information that was included. Plus, we'll be using a tool called King Survey or Survey King that'll allow us to allow the residents to actually provide information on the private side of the service ladder if they so choose to, beyond the engineering services, where they can actually scratch the material and define if it's lead or galvanized. And we provide instructions. So if I could share my screen with you.
You might have to make him a co.
Jen, I think you have to allow me to do that.
Yes.
If you just right click, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me try this. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
This is what we proposed, from a draft standpoint, and I wanted to hear your thoughts tonight as we go through this. Now, this is a postcard that was developed, and it talks about what we're asking for, and it provides, for us that are sometimes with the technology, I know there's a Q code scan, but it also, you'll see at the bottom, there's a villageofwarwick.gov, and there's a link there that the customer can click on that would direct it to the municipal website, the village's website, with a tab. And they would click on that tab, and then it would give them information. So as we go through this is the request, this is why we need your assistance. And this is one way of many. I look at this as more of a community outreach from the internal side, from the municipal side, reaching out to constituents, reaching out to those users. And it's one way identifying the private side of the service line. That's the material, usually through the basement wall and into the home. Sometimes, depending on the municipality, where the meter box is located there, either inside or just outside the home. So you would, in this process, or in this postcard, they would receive this, and it would look like something like this. And then we would they would click on the village link, and this is where I would need the assistance with the village's IT staff or the web developer. And then I would go into, can everyone see this page? This is a nice page because it kind of talks about what the LSI is in the inventory of why we're doing this, the Copper Rule 2021, who's mandated to do it, and what we're looking for.
We're
Jason.
not seeing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're not seeing it yet, Jay.
You can't see it?
No.
No, we're on the postcard still.
Still on the postcard?
Yep.
Okay. Let's,
You might only be
Yeah.
you might only be sharing the one screen or
I might have to go. Let me go.
one
through.
application.
Thank you. Can everyone see this?
Yes.
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 Okay. So from that postcard, and I'll back up, that link that goes to a link to the village's website. From the village's website, we would have a tab, right? The tab would go to this page for the consumer, the customer. It talks about why we're doing this. the mandate from the federal government and the state of New York and what we're looking at, and how do we complete it. And one way of doing that is actually linking a survey to that, a Google link or Survey King link. Survey King allows us to update photos and things like that, which is nice because I want to be able to extract those photos that our customers provide and put that into the mandated Excel spreadsheet that I'll show you later. That's the Department of Health's template, the Excel template that they require all communities to use, right, to identify their service lines. So let me try. Hopefully this will work, team. And it talks about from the link, right? And then there's more information. I want to kind of go through this. It kind of gives them a photo of what we're looking at, right? The water service line to the house, shows a meter, where the shutoff is. So it's kind of directing them, giving them a picture format to exactly what we're looking for. And then it looks at different material, right? You know, is it copper? Is it galvanized? Is it plastic, right? So we're trying to give our customers an idea of the material and how they can actually utilize inside their home just by a simple scratch, right? With magnetic, with galvanized, with stick, with lead, and not. And simple tools, you know, for a customer is just having, you know, a coin available to make that scratch or indentation. So I thought this was a good approach to give our customers an idea and pictures, as much information we can give the customer as possible. And I don't know what the percentage will be, team, on the response back. And that's why we're looking at other avenues, right? We you know, and I can go into those. But with this, it's a start. So once we give our customers an idea of what we're looking at, we give them the information of why we're doing, the importance of it, right? Driving home, environmental, public health, water quality, protecting of their human health, right? And then the ability to click on the link.
Yeah, control click.
Yeah. This is not opening up for me yet.
It opened for me.
Did it?
Yeah.
I wonder if I have to go independently and do that from mine once I open it. Let me see if I can do it from here. Okay, and then I'm going to share my screen, go back to Zoom and share it. Sorry, guys. So, can everyone see the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
So this is where that link would take you. And it's, you know, you want to simplify it as best you can. And it allows, you know, the type of owner, right? Homeowner, renter, landlord, or other. And then account number based on the utility of the account number, the billing, we can add street information, type of material, right? Lead, copper, galvanized plastic, unknown. And then estimated year of service line installation, right? That may be hard for some folks, and I understand that. And then, you know, is it a business or year it was built? And then they can upload, they have the ability to upload a photo, which is great. And that's what I'd like to see as we collect that information, depending on the response. And again, we're not basing the entire inventory on this. It's just one avenue, one ability for the outreach for a customer to utilize.
I'm sorry.
And then the customer would upload the photo, and then I want to extract the data that we have here from the Survey King, and that will be transferred automatically into that Excel file through the Department of Health. And that's the inventory list. So we'll have the information in there, the type of material on the private side, on the public side, will have the photo, will have this data as part of that whole inventory assessment. So from a survey standpoint, this is where we're at, but I need, from this discussion, it's really that help of working with your IT web developer and getting that onto your website. And then from there, we can, once it's on the website, and we're seeing, we can go through tasks, and we can upload that information right into the system, which would be awesome to be able to have and utilize. Again, I mentioned it as one source, one community outreach. And in our proposal, we talk about other avenues, right? I can stop sharing for a minute. We talk about other avenues of reviewing existing records, looking at permits, existing record drawings, any documentation that you may feel that the community has, that may have information on the service lines or may have information on the mains, old record drawings, when the system was built. Whatever it may be, I don't want to discount any of that information at this time. I want to be able to pull all that data together as part of that. And I can work, I've talked to Barry and the team and just trying to get any information we can. We just don't want to discount anything. As much information is better, right, at this point. And we talked a little bit about the community outreach and utilizing a survey approach, which is a great way. And then the other is what we talked a little bit about from an engineering standpoint, or another alternative. And I call this more validation, right? It's validation of the service line. So we're looking at the other option is using a technology. It's under a company name of Electroscan. And Electroscan is a company that has a tool called Swordfish. And that Swordfish, that tool uses magnetic waves, right, from the public side to the private side, on either side of the shutoff or cutoff valve, to determine the material type. Now, the Department of Health has not any way of determining. It's another tool or access, right, from the Department of Health standpoint. But that tool itself, or technology, they call it emerging technologies, is one way. It's just similar to like water sampling or predictive modeling. There's many other validation methods, but in my experience and what B&L has seen on other projects, Potsdam, for instance, up north, some other areas, utilizing this technology, this Electroscan or Swordfish is another way of validation. And then the fourth validation would be potholing. So potholing is actually having an excavation company, right, come in and doing a percentage of the they have to go 18 inches either way of the curves, on either side. So on the private side, 18 inches, public side on 18 inches, to determine the material. So that's that fourth way of validation for the company to come in and do that. Now, just like with Swordfish, or even with a community outreach, completing the survey is great ways of making a determination. But DOH requires us to do a percentage of validation of those different technologies or methodologies, let's say, that we've determined the right material on either side. They haven't defined that percentage. They're kind of leaving that up to the community on that validation effort. So that in this proposal that I presented to the village uses a combination of the Swordfish technology with Electroscan and potholing. And let me step back a little bit. Why? Right? The Potsdam and examples that we've used are proven through the company and the other municipalities that we're working with. It's less intrusive, right? Instead of digging holes through, on people's lawns and things. They can just go access where the meter is, take the meter off, and then do what they need to do, and putting that probe down on either side of on the private and public side. So it's a great way, and they can move quickly, right? They can get through, my understanding, 10 to 12 homes a day. And then what we do from there is we look at the other avenue is the potholing. And the reason we're looking at potholing is because the grant funding that you received, right, it was the lead service line. It's under the bill, the bipartisan infrastructure law. That law requires us to participate 20%, right? So 20% of the contract, service contract, of the professional service contract has to be DBE. DBE is very difficult to come by in different areas throughout the country, but within the state of New York. So potholing and having a DBE excavation company come in to meet that 20%. So that's where I'm looking at, from ElectroScan to potholing and making our inventory list as much as possible. And then the bonus is having the community outreach and whatever percentage we get from that. What I want to do, I'll share my screen again, but I want to show you in a mapping. And this mapping, this may be hard to see, but let me share it for you.
While you're doing that, could we ask questions? Oh, never mind. There you go.
Yeah, sure. I was just
Oh
gonna
wait,
ask,
you can go ahead and then we'll ask questions.
Okay, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Anytime, just cut me off. So you'll see a map here that was created using GPS and the county extraction data that we're looking at homes. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Each one of these are different zones that we created, right? And they're numbered. And in this map, it shows, let me pull it up. Let me see if I can get it. Let's see if I can see. So everything in green is homes that were built after 1986, right? And 86 is the key date, right? That's when the original federal copper rule came in implementation. No more utilizing lead. And in that case, we could break down, okay, from permits or what have you, from what the county data is telling us, anything after 86, right? So I know, looking at anything in green, my argument to the Department of Health and in my spreadsheet or in my inventory list, these homes were built or buildings or infrastructure was built after 1986. We know, we'll test them, we'll validate some of them, but we're not going to spend our entire time or a budget focusing in on green, right? Because of the year after of 1986. But the red, we know, we have a lot of red, were prior to 1986. So as we extract all this documentation, right, from our outreach to what we have in-house to all these different avenues of documents, and we put that information together, then I can tell the sub-consultants, being ElectroScan or that Swordfish tool, right, or the excavating company, we need to focus in zone 10 or 17. Areas that you see in red, I want to be able to direct them for validation in these specific areas, right? So we're not spending too much time and there's nothing from the Department of Health telling me right or wrong that I have to do X percentage in zone 4 or 5. That's ultimately up to the municipality in BNL, right? In terms of where our focus is, as we bring these contractors in to validate where they should be going. It's actually directing their work with my staff and looking at, okay, when you're working with ElectroScan, we're going to focus in area 25. We know from the documentation, let's say we got all our information in 17, I'm not gonna, from a supporting documentation standpoint, I'm not gonna have them focus in 17, I may have them at 18 or 26, whatever it may be. So to me, it creates that workload and roadmap for the sub-consultants to do their job, and that way, and having more intensity on the inventory list, right? So that's kind of the map is kind of, and this will be built, and this is what's required too as part of the inventory assessment. So it's not just the inventory list. We have to have a GIS mapping of the parcels in the service line. So this will be a great tool as we develop this and going forward. Any questions with anything I've said already? Jen, any questions?
Yeah. I have 3 categories of questions, so I'm wondering if we should like organize them according to category.
Right, start, yes.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
What's your
so
first category?
so the categories I have are background, the scope, moving forward, and then outreach feedback. So my question from a background perspective is, can you tell us a little bit about what's been done for the $50,000 so far?
So so from the 50,000, we've looked at all the tax parcel information, right? So we've developed all the tax parcel information and put that and extract that from county data into an Excel spreadsheet, right? And then we've developed all the templates and then we imported that into the DOH template that we're building, right? That's the template that you have to submit final, because we don't want to work off the working file versus the final file that got to go to the Department of Health.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's the creation of all the mapping, the GIS mapping that you see in front of you, all the outreach in terms of the postcard development and getting through that, meeting with the sub-consultants, getting all that information, percentages of what we need to look at, number of users within the system. So all that, where we've been with that 50, that initial contract, is getting all that information together and then working and then extracting more information from the municipality.
So basically the scoping process.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's the planning, I call it more of the planning development stage
Mm-hmm.
of where these communities are and what they have, what they don't have, and then staying in line with the requirements from the Department of Health, right? Because it's not, in this task too, in this proposal, I know that the community will be utilizing technical forces, right? So there's going to be work that identified in the budget. We put 25,000 in there. And that would be utilizing any clerk services, administrative services. What I call, when I was at the state, we have the technical services like DPW or, building permits, whoever may be looking at reviewing technical data. And then any administrative services that may be like photocopying, whatever that may, intend, documentation collection, maybe contact with you receive a call from the community outreach or what have you in the postcard development. That type of work is reimbursable under the grant.
So,
So we're gonna have a technical force account set up for administrative services and technical services.
Jason, just to go back to the work that's been done under the 50,000,
Right.
was grant administration included in that?
I don't believe so, other than, it was in terms of the application development, right? So application, follow through, communication with ESC, under the bill, requirements, the mandatory term conditions. So to answer your question, yes, that included the communication with the EFC, the regulatory agency, any review, application development, mandatory terms and conditions. So that was part of that initial setup area.
Right, and that would continue moving forward in terms of grant administration?
most certainly. And that question that came up, I think the village received a letter May 20th, right? And I know who's taking care of us was
Right.
one of the questions. Yes, this is included. So what you received on May 20th was what EFC calls, and when I say EFC, there's so many acronyms in the environmental business, but the Environmental Facilities Corporation issues when an application goes in for financing or funding, grant funding. What EFC does is submit for those projects that are looking to close this federal fiscal year. So the federal fiscal year ends on 9/30. If a community is looking to close their grant financing by that time, and after the application is submitted, they issue what they call a missing items letter to close or to execute a grant agreement, right? In the end, you're gonna be executing a grant agreement with EFC, with the state of New York, for these grant dollars, to release those funds, right? So, in that EFC missing items line, and let me show you, let me pull it up for you too, Mary. Let me share my screen. Can everyone see this?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Yes.
Yes, we
Yes,
can.
sorry.
Okay, so this letter was issued to the municipality, and it explains what do you need to do to get it to a grant. So administratively, these services that we talked about, so development, administratively, I developed the smart growth assessment, right? We're procuring engineering services. You procured, when you hired B&L originally, you went through the A&E, the architecture and engineering procurement services. That's a mandatory condition that communities must meet. You know, you issued an RFQ, you interviewed the firms, and you selected B&L, or you selected a firm. That's what that signature from the mayor would have to sign off on, that you met those requirements. And then the third is all the cost documentation, so you can be reimbursed, right? So that's the administrative, any invoices like the 50,000 or that whatever dollar amount that is at this point in time, all those invoices I have. So that's just a matter of sending that on to EFC, include that. I developed the work plan of the MDO, and then the MDO officer, Rihanna and others would sign off on that. And then the utilization plan, right? That's a utilization plan is the plan that shows how we're gonna meet that 20% goal of DBE. And that DBE, we're telling the state of New York, we can meet that goal by having an excavation company do our validation for us, right? It's not a direct contract with the village and the excavating company. It's gonna be a contract with B&L, just like Electroscan. Electroscan will be a contract with a sub-consultant to us to do that work, to validate. We'll review that data. So that also includes administratively evaluating from an engineering perspective on what they're telling me is true, right? And then validating that from an engineering standpoint. So that's administrative. So when we get through these items, that's why I said all these items that we're doing that I put out to the village in terms of utilization plan, smart growth assessment, all those items, once they're signed and you've reviewed them, I will forward them on to EFC for approval. And I'll coordinate that. So my goal is not only is to get to that closing, executing that grant agreement as soon as possible so the community can be reimbursed on these things. And it's not out of pocket. Any questions with that?
No?
No, thorough.
More?
Yeah, I have more questions. So one, so the outreach documentation that you provided,
Yeah.
can you clarify what's actually going to be done with the inventory? Like, what are the benefits to the residents aside from just knowing where these lead service lines or galvanized service lines are. You mentioned the grants, but I think, if you could speak to that right now, but then also I think at the very
Right.
top of any outreach, it needs to say kind of what the benefit of that inventory ultimately is.
Good point, and that's why I'm having you review this before it's released to the public, is that we have the comments and we include those in that webpage that I showed you earlier. But this grant that you received is for specifically inventory assessment and not implementation. So the benefit is you're telling the state of New York, meaning Department of Health, that you're doing what's asked from a regulatory standpoint under the federal copy by October 16th, that you, the community, will have completed the inventory assessment. And you'll probably be, do I believe that all the communities will have that assessment in by the 16th? No. It's almost impossible. Because some of those communities never received any grant. What the next step is, and this is where it comes in to apply for implementation grant dollars, which there's millions of dollars that have been allocated under the SRF program in the bipartisan infrastructure law to apply for implementation. It looks much better in your application, right, to when you submit for the implementation dollars to have an inventory assessment ongoing and you're building on it, right? So to me, and I think that's a great point, as part of the outreach, and our outreach to them is that their service line, if found to be lead, would be replaced.
Would you describe it as the first step
I
of
was
a
just writing that down, yeah.
multi-step process? You know, just so that the
Yeah.
public has a clearer understanding.
I think it's really got to be aimed at the
Great point.
customer
Great
to
point.
say, we
Right.
need you to do this because we need to get this inventory done. Once we get the inventory done and it's found that you have lead or galvanized that would qualify for replacement, we will then apply for funds to pay for that so that you don't have to.
Yeah, and why, I think, so it's like step one
Excellent.
is, step one is understand the risk. We need your help to do this, and we probably need to be able to articulate why we don't already know this, and that can be maybe in like a small print at the bottom. And then step two is pursue funding to reduce the risk, right? So that's, and I also think folks may not actually understand. Everybody's heard in the news about the issues associated with lead service lines, but galvanized, maybe not so much. And I can send these comments also through Barry, but I think kind of all of the outreach should do that. But then also the web page, you bury the lead in the web page. There's a ton of words, and I don't think you need all the words. But also at the
Okay.
very top of the web page, the most powerful part of the outreach are the photos that tell people how to identify, right? And that should just be at the top. Like, do you have a lead service line? This is what this looks like, and this is how to find it, and complete this survey to I think it's down at the bottom. Your photos. And I think if you can
Right.
include those photos in the survey itself,
Okay, great point.
that will help people.
Yeah.
And
They don't have to go back and forth.
No, it'd be like a hook. It's like the visual hook.
yeah,
Then they can clearly understand quickly, and then they will read. But they won't read first and get
Right.
get it at the end. So
Right.
and I think if I don't
Right.
know if there's a way for us as a board, if we can have examples and we can just have them at the farmer's market and we could show people like physically.
Come touch this lead.
No, just,
I have a gooseneck, I have a lead gooseneck at home.
yeah, like what are the different, because that would also trigger, maybe there's a way for us to just physically show people, because while I love the, making it clear for folks how they can discover this for themselves, like there's a lot of capacity building in this and learning, just getting it through a thing in the mail is like not necessarily going to get us there.
Yeah,
Right, and, as I was thinking about this and, for my other colleagues, how they, depending on, the dollar amounts or grants they received and what exercises they could do, this intrigued me. I wasn't sure on what percentage that I would get any type of feedback or at least results from it. I wasn't expecting 50%, maybe 10%. So I want to kind of hear your thoughts on, the users or customers, because it's your hometown and how, their approach and what they're thinking. And I want them to feel comfortable. This is great, but we need to be able to have them utilize it and them comfortable. Not everybody's comfortable with the technology, and I understand that. But it would be great if we could do that, having one tool or a validation tool such as this, survey, give us better results, right? I think all these ideas are great, and I think we need to make those changes. So I appreciate the feedback.
so one thought that I had is that, again, in the interest of being very succinct, I think we should err on the side of being a little stronger with the words.
That's what I was.
If
That's
you
like all the.
If you ignore this, we won't know if you have it, and you won't be eligible to receive it and upgrade at no cost to you. Maybe not upgrade, but a swap at no cost to you. So if you ignore this, it's at your own risk. So fewer words, a little stronger. If it evokes a response, even an angry response, even better, because we need a response.
Yes, I think there has to be like some draw to attention.
Right.
Yeah, I
Call
agree.
to action.
Call to
So
action.
surveys, 5% if it's good, but if it's like, hey, this is not a feel-good
Right.
survey.
Right.
This is for your benefit.
Yeah, it's not a survey.
Right.
It's an assessment.
Right.
Can I ask let me just, Jay, I have one question about the
Yeah.
swordfish system.
Right.
So, does that detect goosenecks? Would that have the capability of detecting goosenecks in the line? Or,
Any material that's in the line, right, lateral, linear, right, either way, on the private side or the public side, it would be able to tell the material.
So,
Identify. In the survey itself, DOH does not require, if we know it, or if we're in there and during our investigation, we determine what that gooseneck is, we'll put it within the inventory list. It has a column, gooseneck, known gooseneck material, right? But it's not required in the guidance or mandate. It's not mandated, let's use the term mandate. It's not mandated that they determine the gooseneck material.
so swordfish is inserted into the line at the meter. In probably
Yeah,
90% of the
yeah.
instances in the village of Warwick, it's going to be in the basement, or if it doesn't have a basement, in the first floor. And then that swordfish is the probe goes down along the through the pipe to the valve. Does it go through the valve?
It can go up to the valve, or then after the valve, right? Then they would have to either make a disconnection there, depending on however the valve setup is, and then make that determination. That's why I think, I know you were gonna send me some photos on different types of connections,
Right.
Barry. And if you could do that for me, that would be helpful, because I know there's different setups and every community has different setups. But if we have a couple different variations of where the meter box, if some are outside the home, it sounds like the majority of them are inside. right?
Vast majority are inside.
Vast majority. So we'll work with Electroscan and say this is the majority of the setups. How you get there, I'm going to want to know in determinations, but I'll oversee that. And where connections they have to, extract from, then that's what they need to do. That's their job, right? right? To verify on either side, both the private side and the public side.
But Swordfish only takes you to the curb stop, or does it take you past the curb stop?
It would take you past the curb stop.
It would,
That's what I
okay.
expect.
Okay.
I need that on the
Yeah.
private side.
Yes,
I
definitely.
need it on the
Exactly.
public side, sorry, public side.
Right,
Right.
right.
Now, how they get there, Barry, that's why I think we can use a couple examples. If we have some photos, what have you, then, we'll break that down for, Mike App. He's the president of Electroscan. I've spoken to him several times, and they're doing work for BNL, like I said, throughout the state. So if I can give them a couple case studies on where we're at, and then some photos, but no. And the bottom line is I need it on either side. I need it on the public side,
Right.
and I need it on the private side. How it gets there, that's their work.
Okay.
I have one more
Go ahead.
question. I have a question about the potholing. So you mentioned earlier that the potholing is, now I've lost my notes. There's value in doing the potholing because of the DBE, and I'm guessing that this is like the most expensive way to figure out what kind of, actually I have two questions, piping there is. So is there value to doing the potholing beyond just the DBE, because there are undoubtedly other services, for example, the engagement and other things that DBE can be doing?
You mean in terms of what? So
Is this just a way to meet the requirement, the
No.
percent requirement, or is there value beyond that can't be met otherwise?
I don't see it at this time where other than Electroscan is not a DBE. That technology, emerging technology, is not a DBE. Water modeling may be a DBE, which is outsourced, right? Would be an option. Water modeling, testing, and then modeling would have to occur. Electroscan, like I said, is not a DBE. Excavation, you'd have to look for excavation companies that are DBE. But Electroscan has to be, no matter what method we do other than potholing, has to be validated. So even the community outreach that we do, and hopefully our percentage is high there, that we still need to validate that, no matter what.
And so is potholing like the most surefire validation?
It's a surefire problem.
Yeah, okay.
Right,
Yeah.
because you're actually digging it up on either side, making validation of material, documenting it, photoing it, signing off on it.
So for example, Jay, if
Yeah.
that a neighborhood was all built, it was a subdivision that was built in 1950, and so by just potholing one of those homes, you have a pretty clear sense that they all might have the same infrastructure in terms of piping.
Right, and that's where I would say, and I want that map earlier, and that's where I want to create that workload or roadmap for all those alternatives that we're discussing tonight on where to direct those contractors or our outreach or our village personnel on where we need to spend our time, right, in validating that information. We would assume, right, that prior to 1986, but it's not, DOH is saying, they're not telling us, that community that you described built in 1950, that you do have to validate 10%, 5%, 30%. I may hit 5%. If I know I've done other emerging technology or used other sources, I may utilize, it could be 2%. Just depends on the, what we need and what type of data we're receiving in that area. But if I suspect it, and then when we put it into our implementation plan, so it goes from the inventory assessment, right, listing, to an implementation plan. So that implementation plan is how you're going to achieve and make those replacements, and what areas we need to focus in. This is what's coming from this inventory. So it doesn't just stop here. We're going into that assessment, and from the assessment to the implementation.
I think,
And we'll
Jay,
be able to define those areas much better.
one of the things that didn't get mentioned in terms of what we've done as part of the $50,000 kind of upfront and what the village is providing and supporting. Chris Bennett, we scanned all of Chris Bennett's records by
That's right.
property, and that information has been sent to Barton and LaJudas. So in some instances where we've done a repair recently, like there was a break in a line between the main and a house across the street from where I live, and when we went in there, we were able to recognize what the material was. Chris made a record of that. I ended up with the gooseneck, and then had that information, and that's going into the spreadsheet. So, you know, in addition
That's
to the inventory or the things we're asking our customers to do, we've got a good baseline of information for all the work that we've done to correct primarily water main breaks.
Yeah, that's helpful.
Right, and what we've done is take those, thanks for bringing that up, Grace. We talked about the curb stop location mapping that Chris had done, and team and others, and put that information is on a Google Drive that is implemented into the inventory assessment. We also talked about, over the last few months, about electronic meter upgrades. And I know there was a upgrade database, and I know you were gonna forward that over to us too at some point. So we can take that meter upgrade assessments and that documentation, and that's another tool that can be utilized, so we can have the two data collections talking into that inventory assessment.
Okay.
Hey Jay, one of the things that we do now is we have a quarterly newsletter. I don't know if you can see this, but it goes to every resident in the village. And
Okay.
it would be really great if we could include this information in a concise form in this,
With a QR code.
with a
Okay.
QR code, yeah.
Unfortunately, our next issue probably is gonna be within a month or so of
Oh,
It'll be
this
September.
meeting.
Oh, it'll be
Meeting to
September. Okay.
Do it, so.
But we could send out we could send out an update, like you all received a
A
postcard,
postcard.
yeah.
Yeah, we can.
This is what we're doing with that.
Yeah, just a
Yeah.
bit, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, we,
to
you
flesh
know,
it
see
out.
what the initial response is and see how we might be able to encourage more to participate, yeah.
And thanks
Now-
also
now,
for
Tina,
giving us so thorough of a presentation and answering all our questions. I have one more whenever we're ready.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm learning as you're learning, and like I try to express to my colleagues that are going through it too, is that all the communities are learning at the same time. And you know, I tell my staff too, is that there's no right or wrong way, right, of how, but we want to be consistent, right, in how we're approaching the LSL program, and I'm leading that program for BNL across the board, corporate-wide, to say, you know, using Warwick and using Poston and using Little Falls, all these communities, but we want to be consistent. But any idea is a good idea in the way we approach this. But don't think of it as, okay, we're going the wrong way, or to me, DOH is learning themselves and how they're going to be approaching it and how they're going to do follow through. I don't see enforcement as long as the community is proactively working on their system and understanding of their system and documenting as much as they can. So, no, I appreciate your help just as much as you're giving me the feedback. From a schedule standpoint, where that newsletter that we talked about, is that something that I know I want to, here we are, you know, June, right? We know I want to be done by October 1st. That's what I set my team goal is. By October 1st, this is the draft assessment. This is where we are. We've uploaded, we've created our map. We have the documentation the best we can at this time as of October 1st, knowing October 16th, we got to tune things up a little bit. But for staff standpoint, they know by October 1st, it's just gonna be.
That's in the
finished.
system to DOHMH, or that's to Warwick to review? Because we would probably
It'll
need
be,
more
it'll
than.
be for Warwick, I'll have it to Warwick prior to October 1st as we're building it through, but by DOH, I'm not waiting until October 16th to hit the submit button.
Okay, yeah, I just wanted to make sure we didn't
We
have
need-
only 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we,
Right. So I want to give backup time and hear from you where we feel comfortable. It goes along with this initial outreach, right, of this roadmap to get to the finish line. We have a newsletter that's coming out. This is going to be, we want to quickly as possible get the outreach and the survey assessment, what have you, out as quickly as possible. And then hopefully, when's the newsletter go out, so then we can talk about it, saying, oh yeah, like you said, we received a postcard that talked about service line assessment, and how important it is. So when is that next newsletter?
we just issued it, so our next one wouldn't be until
It's
probably
September
September.
1st.
But I'm thinking that nothing would prevent us from doing a special edition.
Yeah.
I mean, the feedback I'm getting is people are receiving it and they're reading it.
Yeah.
And
And having like something
And-
that tells
right.
people like
So-
what is
so-
the different
yep,
piping.
yep.
Yeah, like.
so, I mean, maybe it's a 2-page, a
Yeah.
4-page special edition
do that.
that just covers.
Okay.
And the
that.
farmers market is a great option too. There's a lot of
Right.
people that move through there that do live in the village, or even like a summer concert series, have a table there. Like there's a lot of things happening now. I think we'd be able to get in front of people.
We've got a pretty good track record for community engagement. So we've been doing it. We did it for our comprehensive master plan, and so we've got some of the techniques down. We know what's been helpful in the past.
Okay. My thinking is I want to get this out as soon as possible. So
Yep.
what I'm going to direct staff is all the items we talked about tonight, outreach, the core basis, strong, that strong communication. Get that to Barry and the team and the board for review over the next few days, right? And then I guess the next question is we have that final that everyone accepts over the next, let's say, week. I don't want to wait any longer than that.
I think our
And
stuff
then-
can just build on top of his, right? Like, so if they release a postcard and then
Yeah.
we just reinforce and send the same link out again to pick
A month
up any
later.
stragglers. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So if we send that out, or I'm assuming that that would come directly from the municipality, or is that something you want DNL to send that out?
I think it would come directly from the municipality.
Right.
We've got a way that we do that now, and
Okay.
it will go to probably more people than our customer base for the village water system. That's probably not going to be all that different, because it goes to the postal customers basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we could use
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. So
Mailing list.
yeah, and then we just keep track of it and get credit for it in Force account, get it paid for through the Force account.
Right. And we'll set that up.
Sounds like a plan.
And then-
Another question, right?
Yeah, and we have, if we have some grant budget, $25,000 for us, we could submit
Right.
that. And then I guess my final question is, I know your proposal included lump sum, and speaking with Barry, y'all are gonna pivot that to time and materials with a not to exceed.
I've changed that already, and I'll send that out to Barry. I'll send it to Barry or whoever you want me to send it to in the morning, first thing in the morning. But I made the changes before I left work.
And then I think on the
Yeah.
website, if you could also just include an explanation of the risks that are associated with these various pipe types. I know I mentioned that earlier, but just to kind of to reinforce
Scare
that.
people?
Well, just to be clear.
Wake 'em up?
Yeah. And why don't we know? I know there's a good reason, but also people watching are probably thinking, like, why don't we already know this information? Like, why don't we know where the lead is? And it was all done a long time
basically,
ago.
it was done years and years ago. Everything that was prior to '86, is suspect for having lead as part of it. We're confident, fairly confident about most of our water main lines that they are not lead. And so it comes down to the goosenecks and then the service lines from the water main to the customer. And so, you know, in a lot of cases, you know, things that were built in the 20s and 30s and 40s, there's not good records. And, you know, I think even up until the 70s, there wasn't any focus on, because there wasn't the concern, there wasn't focus on, you know, watching for what's lead and what isn't lead until 1986 when the rule came down.
I know a number of municipalities that don't even know exactly where their lines are. Like,
That's-
because of when.
Yes.
I think we're pretty good
So
at
we're in
knowing
good
where
shape.
ours are. But
I'm just saying, you know, like, it's not a unique issue.
Jason, I need to ask you a question for accuracy of the motion we're going to authorize tonight. Did you date the letter May 1st as the original one was, or did you date it today?
I have it as, the original as May 1st, but I will, when I talk to my administrative assistant tomorrow, I can date it for tomorrow.
Well,
That's what you
well,
want.
probably not tomorrow because we're going to authorize it tonight. So you should.
Okay, so I'll date it for June 3rd.
Okay.
That's fine. That's good.
Is that okay?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Jay, I want to just thank you
Thank you.
again from the board. This was really great information. It was thorough, truly complete, and it makes me feel very positive as we move forward with this very, very important project. Thank you.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
thank
much
you.
for everyone's time, and I really appreciate it and look forward to working with the team. And you know, it's a team approach, and thank you very much.
Okay.
Thanks a lot.
Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for inviting.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Barry.
Thanks for suggesting it.
Yeah.
Carly suggested it, so.
Yeah. So we're going to move on to announcements and okay. Jen, would you read the announcement, please?
Legal notice, publication of notice of collection of taxes, real property tax law, section 1428.
You know what, you could just read the announcement off the agenda. I think that's much easier.
Last time I did that, you told me to read the full one.
Sorry. Well, now I've changed my mind.
Okay.
No, this
We
is,
had time last
oh,
week.
yeah.
Village of Warwick tax collection begins June 1st, 2024. Residents can pay their village taxes without penalty through July 1st, 2024. Tax bills can be viewed and paid online at www.villageofwarwick.org or paid by mail or in person at Village Hall, Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. to 4 p.m.
Good. Wasn't that easier?
It was.
Yeah. I won't forget next year.
Can we do that with the bonding motion?
No, I'm afraid it doesn't work like that, Barry. And under correspondence, we have a letter from Mr. Robert Krahulik on behalf of the Warwick Commercial Properties LLC regarding a proposed petition for a zone change to the GC district for section block, is that SBL?
SBO.
214-10-3.21 and 214-10-4.1. So that is will be an ongoing, correspondence with Mr. Krahulik and his, and the application for that.
And
correct?
coordination,
And coordination.
with the planning board and if need be, I guess, relative to their assessment, the zoning board of appeals.
Right, of course. Okay, and we're moving on to motions, so trustee Cheney.
Number one, Motion to accept the amended agreement from Barton and LaJudas dated June 3rd, 2024 for engineering services provided on a time and materials basis for the lead service lateral inventory program with an increased cost of $485,770 for a total cost not to exceed $535,770, and authorize the mayor to sign the amendment to the master services agreement with Barton and LaJudas. The project is part of the 2022 bipartisan infrastructure law lead service line replacement funding through the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund for the lead service line inventory for assistance in the amount up to $575,770.
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to hire Jack Maxey and Shane Augusta as seasonal Department of Public Works laborers for up to 40 hours per week for 16 weeks with a start date to be determined by DPW Supervisor Michael Moser. Salary will be based on the FY 24-25 budget.
Second?
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to approve the 2024 summer recreation staff and salaries as per the enclosed list per the recommendation of Village of Warwick Recreation Director Ron Introini.
Second.
Okay. I just want to make a comment because it sort of follows this to some degree. We did have some real glitches in this year's computer signing on. And we recognized them, and actually people who were signing up, their kids recognized it. But I just want to say that Mr. Introini, Ron Introini, who's our recreation director, was able to control the situation. He set up this past Saturday when people were bringing immunization information for the program to undo the issue that had been done online, and people were very impressed as how organized he and his team was. And so I just wanted the board to know that there's another evening. I think it's tomorrow another day. Tomorrow evening is again a time. I think it's on our website as to when you can drop off the immunization and correct the issues with funding, or money. So, but again, Ron and his team were incredible, and I just wanted the board to know that. So, but we have a second. So, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion to grant permission to the Warwick Fire Department to use Veterans Memorial Park to hold their annual carnival per their letter dated March 7th, 2024, set up to begin on Sunday, June 23rd, 2024, and breakdown will be completed by Monday, July 1st, 2024. The carnival will be open to the public from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Wednesday, June 26, 2024 through Friday, June 28, 2024, and from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. on Saturday, June 29th, 2024. Fireworks are scheduled for Saturday, June 29th, 2024 with a rain date of Sunday, June 30th, 2024. Request includes use of alcohol in the park. Completed park permit, insurance, and host liquor liability have been received. Approval is pending NYMER's confirmation of acceptable insurance coverage.
Second discussion,
Sure.
just for clarification, the request for use of alcohol in the park is not for sale to the public. It's for private events related to the carnival. Correct?
Yes, I believe it's
Yeah.
there's a private tent for the
Right.
firefighters,
Yeah.
and that is
With controlled access.
with control. Yes, absolutely. Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
So, do we have a second? Yes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to grant permission to East Coast Basketball to use Railroad Green to hold a fundraiser on Sunday, June 9th, 2024 from 9 a.m. to 3:15 p.m. to sell baked goods and organic dog treats. Completed facility use permit, proof of insurance, and security deposit have been received. The May 18th, 2024 event that was previously approved by the village board was canceled.
Okay. Do you have a second?
Second.
Okay. What was that?
I was like, what's going on with this event?
Cookies? I don't know. What are they selling?
Controversial cookies.
Okay. All in favor?
Wait, I have a
Aye.
discussion. I'm sorry. I thought. Second discussion. The community health fair is on Saturday, June 8th. Do they have a rain date of June 9th? I don't think they do.
No, it's the next Sunday is their
It's
rain
the
date.
next Sunday. Okay,
Saturday,
got it.
Sunday or Saturday?
Or Saturday, next.
Next
Okay,
Saturday.
got it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, Mary, you're on.
I lost my place.
Uh,
Motion
what
to
did we
close.
six.
We didn't eye it.
Oh, we didn't.
Oh, we
eye it.
didn't. All
I
right.
thought we eyed it
And
and then
Mary
we.
wanted
Then Mary
discussion.
wanted discussion.
But don't we have
I
to
Let's just
eye it
eye it.
again?
Yes, let's just move forward. It was all is fine.
Motion to close Village Hall on Wednesday, June 19th, 2024 for the federal holiday Juneteenth.
Okay,
Second.
Discussion.
okay.
I mean, we had pretty extensive discussion for this. I think one of the things that this motion lacks is actually saying that the employees are being given that day as a holiday. All it does is close the doors to
Oh, I
Village
see what you're
Hall.
saying.
So, and the discussion that we had, and this motion right now is specific to this year, June 19th of this year, not going forward at this point in time.
Correct.
Not that, I won't speak for everybody, but, I mean, I'm in favor of Juneteenth being a holiday. But I also feel that it's probably in the best interests of the village as a whole that the employees get a good number of holidays right now. Probably maybe matched by municipalities, but not all municipalities, and certainly not by the private sector in terms of the number of holidays that they do get. So I think we as a board need to take a look at the manual going forward and make some decisions as to whether it is an added holiday or whether it's a trade-off with another holiday.
So my impression is it was a swap, because Juneteenth is a federal holiday, and Good Friday is not. So it was my impression that it was just a
Well,
trade within the fiscal year.
I don't think that is solely
Our
it.
decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a discussion with the staff. And also that, I don't know if it should be tied with Juneteenth. I think that we should be looking at it as, okay, there are a lot of holidays here, and what is federal and that we want to see honored and what is not. But I don't think it should be tied with this discussion. I think it should be a separate
Holistic discussion.
discussion.
Yeah.
That's all, you know.
So.
So how do we?
So I would suggest, or I would make a motion to amend the motion by adding at the end of this motion, and grant June 19th, 2024 as a paid holiday to all employees not part of the collective bargaining agreement.
Second.
Okay. Well, as
I'll do amended.
as
okay.
amended. Okay.
Well, no,
Motion
we should probably vote on the amendment and
Okay.
then vote on the amended motion.
Okay.
Second.
So,
Okay, motion to
no,
Wait,
I made the
Okay.
motion to amend.
Okay.
You seconded it. So,
Okay.
So all in favor of the amended
Aye.
motion?
No, the amendment.
aye.
Okay. Okay.
Do I now have to reread it amended? Okay, all right, good.
Okay.
So I can move on to the next one?
No, you make a
Now we
motion
have to
to-
make, no, now we have to vote on the amended motion.
Okay, motion to
No,
close.
You don't have to say, it. The mayor has to ask for a vote on the amended motion.
Right, okay, I was about to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor on the amended motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
And now I can move on to the next one? Okay.
Okay. Barry, you are now our parliamentarian. Ay,
And I
ay, ay.
end up with,
Not to
I get
complicate
too
things,
much-
but
So confused with that.
the first motion is still out there.
Amended.
No,
no,
it's
I
not. It
amended
was
that
amended.
motion.
You just
We
amended it,
voted
okay.
to accept the amendment to the motion, and then we voted to accept the amended motion.
We did,
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
did.
Just-
Did you
we
say
did two
aye?
votes?
Yeah, we
Yeah,
did.
I said
aye.
voted twice.
We did.
Did you
but
say aye twice?
I said aye once.
Okay.
Where's your eye?
Ayes.
Aye.
There you go. Perfect.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Motion to approve the budget modification request as per the village treasurer's memo dated May 22nd, 2024.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion to acknowledge that Michael Verneri, auditor for the Village of Warwick, performed an internal audit of the Village of Warwick Justice Court as of May 31st, 2022, to comply with the Section 2019A of the Uniform Justice Court Act, and has found that all reporting and record keeping is being completed in a timely manner, and the reports are in compliance with the New York State requirements.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And Tom?
Motion to appoint Nikki DeLille
DeLille? Yeah.
as alternate member to the Zoning Board of Appeals to fill a vacancy with the term ending April 7th, 2025.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion to re-advertise and receive bids for electrical power supply for the Village of Warwick for the period of July 1st, 2024 through May 31st, 2026.
Second.
Did everyone look at the redone
Yep.
bid documents? Okay.
Yes.
So we have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And we have one addendum. And actually, Carly, would you do that?
Ooh, yep, it's all the way at the back.
Oh, here it is.
Okay, thank you. Motion to advertise and receive bids for consulting and professional services for the Village of Warwick Multi-Use Trail Feasibility Study Project as part of the 2023 Empire State Development Strategic Planning and Feasibility Study Funding Program.
Okay.
Second.
Okay.
And folks may recall, would you like to
No,
update it?
I'll let you.
So we had submitted last year for an ESD grant to support the feasibility study of the multi-use trail out to ShopRite, from the village to ShopRite. And we had asked for $150,000. They gave us $50,000, but have agreed to, we will provide $50,000 toward the consultant services
Well,
and $50,000 in kind.
Yes. Actually, it's the village and town.
Village and town,
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
So this is for the consulting services. So,
Peace. Thank you.
yeah,
Great.
we're excited
Thank
about
you.
this opportunity.
It's exciting.
Yeah, thanks a lot for putting that together, Mayor.
Yeah, I have
The
to,
RFP.
reminds me to make sure it gets out to the town before we send it out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And final comments from the board?
I have an update.
I have
Oh,
some.
do you
No,
want,
no,
why don't
go
we go
ahead.
in a,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
I've been talking a lot tonight.
Do you want me to go first?
Yes.
Just to announce the Village of Warwick Summer Newsletter is out. It's in your mailbox and available online. I also wanted to announce that the Warwick Historical Society will be hosting their annual 4th grade tours this week on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, pending the weather. So if you are driving around the village, just be mindful that between the hours of 9:30 a.m. and 1 p.m., there will be groups of students moving on Main Street between Village Hall and the 1810 House, and on Forrester and by Barrett's Tavern.
Did they notify the police?
I'm pretty sure they did. I can double check.
Okay.
Usually the police are present.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
just want to make sure.
I'll double check on that.
Okay.
I also wanted to report to the board that at the first summer concert series this past Friday, I was out surveying people. So I only brought, I did paper surveys. I only brought a few with me because I wasn't really sure how it would work. I thought it might be too loud. I wasn't sure if I would be that comfortable really approaching people, but it was so easy. So now I know to bring more with me. The only problem is the next concert is a Saturday, so I'll be unable to make it. So if somebody wants to volunteer to do the Saturday ones for me, or I can ask John Johansson and Michael Gervich if they want to participate.
I'll try.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can do it. Would you like it if we did a version of this online as well?
I
And
think-
you had a QR code so they could do either or?
I think I personally like doing it in person. I don't, if you feel necessary to do it in a QR code, I think that's fine. I just think that we're more likely to get answers from people just getting in front of them than having a QR code somewhere that people can scan.
Well, I
That's
meant
my
on the
opinion.
same piece of paper, so they could also, like, if they just felt like it, they could just take a photo.
If they didn't do it then, are they gonna go to the QR code?
Yeah.
that's-
Okay.
that would
I
be-
mean,
That's fine.
I had success the first time, so I think that now that we know it works, just move forward.
Okay,
Okay,
Right, and then I've
Thanks
just
for doing
been
yeah,
compiling the information on a spreadsheet.
thank you.
And then that's it for me.
Okay. Tom, do you have anything for us?
I do. I got the 1 month left notification from NYSERDA
Uh-huh.
that we need to decide on the grant. So we talked about a couple things last time. One of the projects was heat pumps for the office section of the new pole barn. Timing seems to work out, but we would need quotes pretty much by end of week, maybe middle of week next week. But
Okay,
I think all we need to know, honestly, is what the square footage of that conditioned space would be,
okay.
and then
Well,
I don't know.
Cubic footage, right?
Sure, yeah. And then understanding who we would need to go to get those kind of bids. Since it's under 25,000, I don't know if it would need to go out to bid.
It wouldn't need to go out to bid, but we would have to get 3 quotes.
Three
We have to get 3
quotes,
quotes. Okay. We need something to submit with the grant.
Sure.
So I don't want to lose out on this, so
Sure,
we just need
sure.
to make sure we figure that out.
We discussed it with Mike Moser last week, and he was supposed to be working on it. He has pretty much the layout inside the building as to what's gonna be improved space, so we should be able to get that. I'm thinking we'll have 8-foot ceilings, so we can get the cubic footage, but I don't know whether he's spoken to our HVAC company about
Okay.
them getting us a quote for it.
So he's,
Yeah, he's
Away.
away, yeah.
when will he be back?
Thursday, I believe.
Thursday,
yeah.
okay. So, I mean, it's not that complex to get together, and,
I mean, I'll text him and see where it stands. He might be able to do something from up
Right.
there.
we might need till Monday.
That's fine. I want to leave us at least a week and a half of buffer.
Okay,
And then whatever that information, I gotta put it into the grant application.
okay, okay.
So we're at 29 days.
Okay, we'll get it. We'll do it.
Very good. Also, I just wanna recognize, Wickham Works and Peyton Swenson for doing a great job with the Too Good to Toss. It was the largest that I've seen it. People were lining up as of 5 a.m. And if you look at, really people were nearly camping out. But if you look at the amount that was left over, it was very little, if any.
that's
Very
cool.
minuscule.
Yeah.
I mean, last year the estimate was, we saved around 13 dumpsters full from going to the landfill. This year had to have been more. Right, so, anyway, I thought it was really great. The community seemed to love it, really
They do.
came out, so, and,
It's
thanks to
great weather.
DPW for setting everything up with the
Perfect
parking
weather,
and
yeah.
everything. I would say we need to actually give a little more space for parking next year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the people were turning cars away at the lot because it was full.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll have to look at that.
Again,
I'm
the
sure.
weather cooperated.
I mean, it was,
That was
everything
great. I mean,
aligned.
Having,
Yeah.
having that area of the park dry is very
Yes,
important.
exactly.
I looked at the grass today and it didn't seem like any real wear and tear, so,
Pretty resilient,
yeah.
as long as it's dry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
Anyway, it was a really good event.
Good. I just want to, also, in the same light, I want to shout out to Abby Ashley and Betsy Bowes, who organized the very first Monarch Village Pollinator Festival, which was at Park Avenue School on Saturday. And it was amazing. I was blown away. They have been working with the schools for the past year. And so, when I say schools, the 3 elementary schools, the middle school, and the high school. And so the gym in Park Ave was just filled with displays and artwork by all these classes. It was so amazing and thorough in terms of teaching kids, all the different pollinators that exist. It's not just butterflies, it's moths, it's bats, but it was so much fun, and it was so well attended. And I also want to shout out to Principal Bennis, who just embraced the project and made it happen. And the secondary part of that day was that at the end of the festival at Park Ave, kids were allowed to go down to Stanley Deming, and we have a swath of a pollinator garden along the stream. And the DPW, got it all ready for everyone to plant milkweed and the such. But it was just it was very well organized, and it was a great success. So,
Cool.
yeah, Monarch Village.
I have an update on the well number 3 treatment plant project. The plans and specs are complete. They have conformed those plans and specs to our funding sources. And the ad will be in the Warwick Advertiser on June 11th. The pre-bid meeting will be held on June 27th, and bids will be received on July 11th.
That's great. Hallelujah. Long time.
Yeah.
Well, not so long in terms of large projects like that, but what, 2 years?
More than 2, I think.
Okay. Okay. My memory fails.
We had some things that we had to provide to the health department.
That's right.
That took longer than they should have.
Yeah.
But
And hopefully the funding from Pat Ryan will
yes,
cover our bases.
Yes,
That's right.
and also we were using ARPA money for
ARPA
that
money
too.
as well.
So.
Yeah. Very good.
That's awesome.
Okay. You want to add something?
Yeah, one last thing. The mayor and I met earlier this week with the grant manager for EPF to discuss possible scopes of work that we could submit for funding to help with implementation of the Veterans Memorial Park Master Plan. And I think the meeting was super positive. She said that we would be very competitive applicants because of the whole process that we use to develop the plan and how much documentation is available about all the stakeholder engagement. And so what we'll be doing is we'll, at some point over the course of the next couple weeks, we'll meet with the stakeholder advisory group for the Veterans Memorial Park Master Plan, and we'll kind of carve up some of the pieces of implementation. Actually, I'll need to check with you, Barry. I know the intern had previously costed out the walking paths. So we'll kind of look at that and carve up scope, and then we'll have the stakeholder advisory group kind of make the final decision. But they said that it would be hard for any project to kind of check the box on some of the additional points associated with economic development and tourism. A lot of the stuff we're doing would score really highly about walkability and things like that, but I actually think that some of the improvements around the veteran space and the memorial activities at the front of the park kind of combine everything that they were looking for. So
Yeah,
to
I
me,
agree.
seemed like that might be the strongest.
Yeah, I think so too.
So that's fun.
One last thing, and we do have to go in executive session, but I just want to mention that the town board was petitioned by residents that live, and we've spoken about this, that live along Kings Highway, and the petition was to reduce the speed limit from, what is it, 50 to 35, yes. And so and we actually sent a letter saying that we felt that it was a positive change, and the town board did vote on how do you, Barry, help me with, so it's
Make
not.
an application. They have to make an
To
application.
the DOT.
Request
To the county.
DPW, who then turns it over to.
Just like we've
State
requested
DOT.
along Galloway, so, right?
Yes.
So
Yes,
if
yeah.
we have
yes.
They're like,
And
they have a
also-
pile of requests.
Also from Village Line to Belleville.
Yeah.
That was
That's
a
right.
request that's probably been
Years old.
sitting, collecting dust in Poughkeepsie since 4 years, probably, I want to say.
Can we ask them to remind like when they submit with the county, to remind the state of the other requests
Sure.
that we have?
We can call the state.
Because
We-
we also
we can
have
remind them
requests
too.
State direct.
on Maple Avenue, yeah.
Yeah,
But it,
we
the
have
more
this lines,
people,
lines on.
Well, the
Maple.
lines, I think we got concurrence from Oscar Olarte that the lines were going to be changed for Maple
Well,
Avenue.
yeah, but when?
As part of the project when they repaved.
Yeah.
but we also had a request for them to change the speed limit on both Maple Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
To,
To 25?
yeah, I think we wanted everything changed to
30 or
25.
to 30.
No, because it's already
It's
30.
already
They're
30.
not gonna, no, 35. It's 35 on Maple Avenue
But
till
then
you
it
get down
drops
to
to
Van
30.
Duzer to 30, I believe. That's where the,
So we'll have to look
Changes.
at the request again.
Well, we can also remind them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why don't we do that? So so the reminder goes to the regional office, correct?
yeah, because it's in their lap
It's
right
in their
now.
lap, okay.
County passed it along.
So, yes. Okay, so we do. It's the real estate one.
It's about a contract.
Oh yeah, here we go. Could you do that? Proposed acquisition?
Sure. Motion to go in executive session to discuss the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property, or the proposed acquisition of securities, or sale or exchange of securities held by such public body, but only when publicity would substantially affect the value thereof.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
And when we come back, we will just close the meeting. We have no other activity or business.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Jen.